One of the earliest translations of the New Testament into another language was into Syriac. I have a friend who reads Syriac, and for a couple of years, he and I met every other week to drink coffee and compare our translations of the Gospel of Luke. He from Syriac into English and me from Greek into English. I discovered that the go-to website for people who translate this version of the Bible, which we today call the Peshitta, is dukrana.com. Let me show you the kind of things that they do here. Share this, go to the proper page and scroll up, and you will see that what we've got here is John 1:1. Here's the text of John 1:1. And then down below, they have their grammatical analysis, which is based on a vertical format, with the first column being the word as it occurs in the text. They indicate the root of the word, the grammatical category of the word, the gloss, and morphological information, everything that you can say about the word. It occurred to me that one could produce something similar to this for Koine Greek. Now, for the previous several decades, I'd been using a worksheet format based on what I had seen in interlinear versions of the New Testament. Now, the disadvantage of this style of worksheet is that the relationships between words in different parts of the sentence don't really jump off the page at you. If you had, for instance, a genitive absolute, genitive participle here, several words, and then a genitive noun, the connecting link between these two words was not all that clear to me. Further, I didn't find this worksheet to be much of a catalyst for memory vocabulary memorization. But using this Peshitta website as a model, I created a vertical style of worksheet for Greek. Now, we found this type of worksheet is at its most useful if you use it with a reader's edition of the Greek New Testament. So we all have purchased reader's editions, and the way this works is at the top of the page, you have the text of Scripture. At the bottom of the page, you have footnotes to all of the words that are used just 30 times or less in the whole New Testament, which occur on that same page right up above. One of the good things about this worksheet is it encourages my students to get into handwriting. We are convinced that you learn Greek faster and you learn it more comprehensively if you handwrite everything rather than keyboarding or video watching. Beneath this video is a link to a study done at Johns Hopkins University where they studied this very thing. They took students learning Arabic and broke them up into three groups: the handwriting group, the video watching group, and the keyboarding group. And they found that the handwriting group learned faster and learned more comprehensively. Now, putting all this together, the approach we've evolved in our translation work is to use the worksheet and to make 3 passes through every verse. In the first pass, you fill in all the words you know and define them, indicate the part of speech, indicate what sort of, analyze the word, what can we know about the word. In the second pass, you use your reader's edition to fill in all the words that you don't know. And if they're in the reader's edition footnotes, these are words you're probably never going to learn. And the encouraging thing about this is what I've got here would be pretty typical, that by the time you fill in the words you know that you've memorized, then you fill in from the reader's edition the words you're never going to memorize. There's only, in this case, 3 words left over out of a verse with 18 words. Well, this is very encouraging. If you've got a handle on 15 out of 18 words just by using your reader's edition as you read through the text, that's like 83%. In the third pass, you fill in all the words you ought to eventually memorize, but which you do not yet know. Finally, you're ready to actually translate the verse. Start out by writing out the whole verse again in its entirety. This is a good thing, first of all, because you're writing more and it lights up the learning centers of your brain. Secondly, you need to see the verse all together so that you can translate it. So then you go through and you make your first draft translation, and then you get it into 21st century English. This is what one of my students said about the worksheet when I asked her opinion. What did you say about the worksheet, Beth?
Oh, well, the worksheets are very good, very helpful to me. I have been using them throughout what we've been translating in the Book of Acts as well as now in the Book of John. And what I like about them is that it makes you think about each grammatical use of every word that you're seeing in the Greek. So you're not skipping words in the Greek and just sort of getting the gist of it. It forces you to look at every single word and work on it. And the other thing that I like is that the repetition of it is really helping me to memorize things. And I really like where it says what the frequency is, which is on every word, because that helps me to know, is this a word that I ought to know? Like I should know maybe what the root is, or is this like a very infrequent word that, it's just one of those words that I probably haven't seen before. So I've found it very helpful for that, and I'm really enjoying using them. I think the link is more obvious to me between the definite article and the noun, as well as I look at some of the other words, I can kind of semi-figure out what the verb usage is, like is it the past, the present, the future, those kinds of things, just looking at it. And then it's more like a puzzle for me. I can puzzle through things. And rather than just memorizing by rote, this is what this ending is, it's much more of a thinking game for me.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Beth.
You're welcome.
I'm making two versions of this worksheet available to you for download. First, this generic version that I've used so far in this talk. One advantage of this is it works not only with verses from the Bible, but with extra biblical literature. I have started doing some work on Marcus Aurelius, and I'm using the exact same worksheet, doing some stuff with Herodotus. One consequence of this style of worksheet is you develop several pages per verse. So it's nice to use this ACO style binder. I haven't got many pages here, but here's my worksheets on the book of Joel, and you can see that it's fairly thick. The ACO binder will hold probably 4 times this much, and it's pretty near indestructible. Here's the second version of the worksheet. This is the one that Beth found so helpful. I've taught my computer to output the text of the SBL Greek New Testament, one verse per worksheet, and indicate the frequency with which the root word occurs, whether it's high frequency, medium, low, or a rare word. The rare words are the ones that show up in your Reader's Edition Greek New Testament. I hope you found this helpful.